Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, Books, Beverages, and Author Conversations. Today, I am excited to welcome back author Whitney Welsh Gibbs to chat about The Curse of Fire, Book 2 in the Steel Citadel series, available September 16th. Hi, welcome back.
Hi, I'm so happy to be back.
I'm
Yay.
so excited again to talk to you about book two. As I was just
Yeah.
saying, was like thrilled the second this hit my inbox and to continue this journey in this world.
Yeah.
And you're showing us more now of this big world in book two.
Yeah.
But before we jump in and talk about the Curse of Fire
hmm
some more, you have a nightcap for us.
I do. I was thinking about The Curse of Fire and how different it is from the last book. The last book we had like a nice tea. It was like, something very warm and cozy. I feel like this book is like a old fashioned or like a glass of Fireball whiskey. It's something, it hits you hard. It's right there. It's going hard.
I agree. I think that that pairs really well with this one. This one also made me think of and I don't know the drink specifically, but it's like
Sure.
a special cocktail at this restaurant near us in Tampa. And then when they bring it out, they bring the lime on fire. So like,
Oh yeah.
and I was just like, oh, that to me. But I think an old fashioned will pair well. So I have to remember that, and my husband will want one too when I make an old fashioned to go with
There
this.
you go. Put the smoke on the top, make it, yeah, fancy.
Yeah, smoked old
Yep.
fashioned. He does love a good smoked old fashioned. I was just telling you, we just got back from vacation too, and we ate at this really cool local Pacific Northwest restaurant up in
Yeah.
Washington that had craft cocktails, and it
Oh,
was
nice.
the best smoked old fashioned I've ever had that he ordered. It came
Yeah.
out and I was like, ooh, that's fancy. That looks really cool. I have no
Yeah.
photographic evidence that this ever occurred, but it's real. And the second he drank it, he was like, you'd really like this. This is
Yeah.
amazing. It was, so I'll picture that old fashioned with Curse of Fire.
Perfect.
All right, let's jump right in. A quick
Okay.
overview of The Curse of Fire and what readers can expect from book two.
Well, Curse of Fire takes place just after book one, The Land of Frost, ends. And it picks up on the cliffhanger. It picks up right where we left off, right where we left our protagonist, Maeve. And it's really all about her journey of survival once again, learning new things about her past and also about what's going on in the present. And we take a journey through the kingdom. We actually get out of Boskagard prison and we move on through to Tyne Malocht, where Owen Kale, our main man, is from, and we get to explore his world a little bit while Maeve still kind of navigates this. She's a wanted woman. She is, she was supposed to be dead, and she's not, and so she has to grapple with that and what the kingdom is becoming.
She does, and she had some surprises there at the end of book one that you left us with.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
and that she needed to process. She needed to process rather quickly
Mm-hmm.
some of the information that was revealed to her, along with us
Yeah.
as readers. I want to chat about all of it and also want to be careful about spoilers a little bit for book
Uh-huh.
one and book two, just in case, like we were talking about, maybe people are waiting till there's a second one out, so they're
Yep.
ready to jump in now. So tell us a little bit about what your life has been like since we last spoke and The Land of Frost was just released.
Oh, it's been actually incredible. Just seeing this book kind of grow and like people pick it up this summer was really good for this book. First couple months, it was a good reception. It was, kind of a slower reception. And then people started picking this book up. It must have been like the right time this summer to read. And yeah, so it was really amazing to just find new readers and kind of have that exciting time. And, I was traveling a lot, like I told you, and doing a lot of stuff. And also getting ready for book two, because we had book two in mind, obviously, when book one came out. We knew book two was coming out 6 months later. So, we were getting ready for that. So it's really been busy, but it's been great because people are finding this book. They're loving it. They're talking to me about it. I never imagined that. I'm a small indie writer. I'm lucky if a handful of people have read my books, but to get this book out there and people actually know what it is and they're talking about it, and we had one big influencer pop off talking about it, and that was crazy to me too. I was like, oh, you know what my book is? That's exciting. I'm so glad, and it just kind of took off from there. So it's been really a cool experience, and it's actually just gotten us all ramped up for my team and I all ramped up for book 2 and what was going to come with that.
For sure. No, well, congratulations, first of all. Like, that's just
Thank
so
you.
exciting. And I know how much work, well, at least that I've even been able to see that went into the first one, goes into
Hmm.
all the next one, everything involved with all of it, your amazing team, everything. So, but so exciting at the same time. And I think
Yeah.
too, I really do think, I mean, I say this too because my husband is this way, where he doesn't like to jump into a series until there's at least two of them.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, okay. Now I can do this."
Right.
So, which I get it. So, book 2 might be the perfect opportunity for new readers too. So, all
Hmm.
that said, for anyone who is new to this series as a whole,
Right.
um maybe they're ready now with book 2 to jump right in. How would you describe this in a few words?
The series?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a dark fantasy series, and it's political conspiracy and very much this hero's journey from, kind of at the onset, really like her lowest point to, is she going to find that her path to succeed and to seek revenge. It's very much a revenge story with her, and it has a little bit of romance. It's, you get some of those ooh moments and a little tingly and all that, but it is very much that dark fantasy. It's a high fantasy. You get really immersed in the world, and for new readers, I tried to make it as simple as possible to follow this world, but there is a new world, so you will have to remember, new places and new things and things like that. So it's one of those that if you're ready to just dive into someplace new, you want to get away from today's, news,
Today's
go there.
chaos.
Yep, exactly.
And you want to immerse yourself in a fake one.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Well, talking about Maeve too, how would you say that
Hmm.
she evolved in this book?
I somebody asked me about that recently because they said, Maeve is very much, she grew in the first book, and she became kind of like, she kind of started learning who she was because she didn't really know who she was. She was very sheltered. And I think in book 2, you see a lot of growth, but you see a lot of growing pains too with her. You see a lot of places where, as it's typical with us as humans, we grow and then maybe we regress a little and then we grow again. And you go through those hard things, and you kind of have to grapple with, like, growing is not always easy, but you need somebody by your side as you grow to kind of help with those harder times. And luckily, Maeve has that in Owen, where she's growing and things are not always great, but she has him to kind of work through those hard times. So I do think she's grown a lot. She's kind of becoming who she's meant to be and who she is. But it's not always easy for her in this story. And I feel like that's, if it was, it probably would just be way too fantasy for me. Like, I'm one of those people that needs a little bit of reality here. I need to
Well,
be
I mean,
able to connect
this
with it.
isn't gonna work.
Right, exactly. This has been way too easy. She just went from, like, naive, sheltered girl to hero in a second. That's just not her. That's not her journey. And so it's been great. It's, I loved just watching her from book 1 and 2 to see how much she's grown and how much she's learned and what a different person she's become. And I hope readers can enjoy that too.
Yeah, actually, I think that you said that so well. And Owen, so I always say this, I mean, about real relationships too, even
Yeah.
though I'm not an expert. But
Right.
it's like you have to find someone to grow with you because, like
Yeah.
you said, like growth is not, it's not just this constant line that goes up, like it ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And so we see that with Maeve too, but then finding a partner who's willing to grow with her in all of that
Hmm.
is like just as important. And I thought that
Yeah.
was really neat to see with their relationship and their story, and then also understanding the motivations of each other too. And
Yeah,
because this is also a like whole new world for her too. She's leaving like she's now left everything she's known like twice and isn't
exactly.
entering like so to your point, no one would just like wake up one day and be like, okay, this is great. We're
Yep, I'm
everything.
good.
Did anything surprise you about the characters or the story direction as you were writing?
I planned this out to be a series, so I kind of knew where it was going to go, but I always let the characters kind of write themselves. I say, okay, whatever feels natural. And it did, because, sometimes characters make choices that you probably didn't want them to make, and you go, okay, no, that seems more to their character than I had planned out. And so there were times where I went, oh, are you really going to do that? Okay, let's continue on with the story, and we'll see where it goes. And it ended up great, but there was moments where I went, "Ugh." And I'm very much a reader as much as I am a writer of my own work. So I'll just, oh no, oh Maeve, oh Owen, oh no.
You need to do that.
Right, exactly. But it always ends up to the best outcome of what the story could be. And I think that's the great thing about writing like real flawed real characters, is that they will surprise you and they will do those things, but at least you're getting a story that, like, seems natural. It's not like force, like, it's going in one direction, it's going to continue to go in this direction no matter what. It does have that kind of room. It's always had that room with me to kind of like ebb and flow and like move through the story in the way that it wanted to. And yeah, I was excited when I started like writing this. I was like, oh wait, they're going where are they going this time? Oh wait, there's dragons? What? Are you kidding? Like, this is fun. This is exciting for me. And from somebody who loves writing fantasy but also writes like romance as well, and like the real contemporary books, it's like, oh, this is exciting. Now I get to like write these crazy elements and stuff because the characters want to go here.
Okay, with that said, too,
Yeah.
I mean, talking about fantasy and romance and everything, are there any fantasy tropes or romantic cliches that you either, well, two-part question, consciously try to avoid in your writing, or are there ones that you like to lean into?
Yeah, both. Um, I try to avoid like the real, I mean, and it happens because it's just kind of normal. Like, I don't love a miscommunication trope. I try to stay away from it. It does happen in stories just because you have an unreliable narrator. So maybe it's not miscommunication, it's just misunderstanding from your main character. But I try not to make that like the whole story, because people get annoyed with it. They don't like it. I'm not going to do like a third act breakup or something, like either they're going all the way or they're gonna be done, and I'm gonna tell you that straight up. I'm gonna do that. I never bring anybody back to life either. I hate that trope of bringing people back to life when they're like really dead. Like, i I love Akatar, but Rhysand could have stayed dead, and he could have stayed dead, and he didn't have to come back. I feel like my emotions went up and then down, up and then down. I'm not gonna play with your emotions like that. If they're dead, they're dead.
They're not going.
They're not coming back. I'll just break your heart. I'm sorry. But I do like to lean into, I love exploring the world. So political conspiracy is a real big thing for me. That's a good trope that I love. Enemies to lovers. I will always write a good enemies to lovers, and even like enemies to friends or enemies to,
Acquaintances.
allies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
allies. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love to see the dynamics of two very different characters coming together and, working towards a common goal. And it might not always be perfect, and I think that that's the fun in it, is it's like, oh, we liked each other this whole time. Actually, you probably don't like each other 95% of the time, but we're working towards something,
We have a
and a certain
common
goal.
interest, a common goal,
Yes.
something.
Yeah, and how can we work together in that? So I really lean into those, but nothing's off the table completely. I'll kind of throw it in, except for people coming back to life when they're very dead.
And that's okay. Would you say too on that note, are you like a happily ever after person in both your writing and your reading? Like, do you like, or are you good with real heartbreaking endings?
I like to hurt readers. Sorry, I like to hurt readers. Um, no, I like a real ending, so I won't always go with like a happy ever after. I do like to read good happy ever afters, but I do lean in towards the what is really good. What would really satisfy the story? Maybe not satisfy like the reader's like want and desire for everything to be good, but what is like the natural progression and ending of this story?
Total tangent right now.
Yeah,
Did you
go
watch
ahead.
The Game of Thrones?
Yes.
What did you think of the ending?
The ending of Game of Thrones. How much time do we have? um,
Go forever.
like I, I honestly, I thought that there were elements of it that could be that were very well done. I didn't mind, kind of Daenerys's kind of side, quest of trying to take over the throne. I hated what they did to Jon Snow, and I just didn't feel like that was the natural progression of the story. It was something that, just kind of came out of like left field. Why did you bring him back to life so many times and like let him like, you know, defeat the army in the Battle of the Bastards if you're not going to, make him king. Like he was the king. So yeah, I was satisfied. I was with some of it, but mostly not. I wanted it to be natural to the story.
No, you're spot on with that. I completely agree. Sorry, I just thought about that because I remember book one made me think a
No,
lot
you're
about
good.
Game of Thrones. And they
Yeah.
were talking about
Yeah.
endings, and I was like, ooh, controversial ending because, well, to the
Right.
show.
Right.
I don't know that an ending for the books will ever be there,
Right.
but um, you're right. I think that ultimately that's where people had the biggest issue with that is that it just never felt
Yeah.
natural to any of the story. There were
Right.
also, I mean, I'll just be sitting one day and thinking, I'm like, they never wrapped up that part of the story. Like,
No.
we never found that out. Why didn't
No.
they, why didn't they explain that? Um, oh my goodness. Okay, so you're talking about that. You kind of have a plan for the series. Does that
hmm
mean you've got book three and everything already planned out? Do you know the end game for all of it?
I can say the series is written.
Okay.
We don't have firm dates on when it's coming out, but you're not going to have to wait 10 years for the book to be done. The story is written. We know where the characters go. I'm excited to tell everybody, the rest of the story and give the rest of the story to the characters. But we know there's two more books in the series, and that yeah, we have an end game coming. So
That's super exciting and definitely reassuring to us readers who don't have to sit here and be like, I'm gonna be 45 when
right.
like what's one thing you hope readers feel or take away after book two?
After book two, story wise, I hope you feel that there is a little bit of hope there in the story. It is, again, it's a dark fantasy, so you get in some of these situations where you're like, oh, are they ever gonna get a win in this, in this story? But there is hope in the story for a good ending, for something to go right, and also, there's a lot more adventure to come, and a lot more things to solve. So I hope they leave excited for the next part of the story, and also just thinking about their world, thinking about the things that they go through that maybe may helps them connect with, and this story helps them to connect with, because we are dealing with real world issues and things that have happened to the characters, and maybe that might be a little bit hard too for readers as they go through book two, but also there was a lot of growth with the characters, even in the hard times, even in the hard situations that we see on page, and that if those characters can move through it, then you can too. So if you can connect with those characters a little bit and get a little bit of hope for their stories, then maybe in your own life you have a little hope too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's Well, one, I think it's so important, but two, it's just so neat, even in fantasy books and series too, where you can see the reality in there and hopefully gain some perspective that
Yeah.
it can equate to your either personal life or just real world situations that
Yeah.
we find ourselves in, and hopefully have a different perspective or at least maybe empathize with a different situation, anything like that. Did your writing process change a lot between the first one and the second one? Because I mean, even with book two, like there's still so much world building that has to happen. So did you almost have to like go through another exercise to work on this additional part of the kingdom?
Not really, because before I started writing, I mapped out everything. I mapped out the world and the characters and the ones that were coming in book two and book three and book four. So I had it all mapped out before I started. And so that made it a lot easier, but it was kind of like falling into the story again, figuring out where the characters were, the kind of their mindsets, and they each have like a very distinct voice. So the hardest part about coming back to that story is finding those voices again. Now they're like old friends to me, so it's kind of like second nature now to find their voice, but I always think starting a book is the hardest part because you're coming back in, it's like almost like a dry run of things. So like the first starting a series is the hardest thing you can possibly do. And then starting like the next book is hard, just falling it back into those characters. But it does help when you establish like where they're going, what, the backgrounds of the kingdom and have all that information there just so that you are deeply familiar with it as you start.
I think like we had briefly touched on it in the last episode, but what were some of your
Mhm.
inspirations for this world? Because I know you kind of drew from some like some real places, all that. What were some of the inspirations for the world that you created?
Yeah, so a lot of like the historical backgrounds and some of like the myth kind of more or less stories, folklore came from like a very Irish history. So that's why you get the names are very Irish and like the map is very Irish and things like that. But because that I really did pull from those histories and that's very important to the story. So if you know like a lot of Irish history, you can kind of see where things are playing out in the story. But also, like Tyne Malloch they go to, it's very different than anywhere else they've been. And that was very much the aesthetic of it. And what was really in my mind that whole time was like Morocco, like the desert and like the Moorish architecture. And like even the culture is very, different from what she's ever experienced. And so I pulled a lot from there. So, since the kingdom is so distinct, and I know we talked about this last time, the kingdom's so distinct, it has like five different, very distinct regions that are all unique to themselves. I think exploring that's really fun. So, each book kind of explores that in a different way. But, this one was very much I had that kind of desert theme and like and it was funny I when I went back after I wrote book 2 I read book 1 again with my best friend. She reads everything I write, and so I went back and we reread it, and I said, I forgot how cold I was when I wrote book 1 because you're just in the snow all the time. And it was very like a cold region. So, like in my brain, I was very cold. And then I'm writing book 2 and it's very hot. And I'm just like, I forgot this, like you're moving so far away that you kind of get like this whole different feel. And so, really, that followed me through that when I was building the kingdom. I was like, everything has to be distinct, it has to be different, it has to have like a really like unique to itself feel, and each book kind of has that unique to itself feel because of that. And the kingdom was really why I wrote the story. I wanted to explore this place more, and it was like the setting was very integral to the story itself. So yeah, that was fun to explore kind of like the differences between it and the distinctness to it, and exploring like different regions of the world. I'm a huge traveler and I love to kind of see new cultures. So bringing in something completely different than even though we're talking about the history of like Irish history and stuff like very loosely in the story, you're still getting like a new culture and like looking up Moroccan culture and things like that. And that was really fun for it, so that I could kind of build that world again.
Well, it's fun as a reader too, like I know I was so looking forward to that when in anticipation of book two. I was like, oh, I can't wait to,
Yeah.
even though I really liked the world where we were at in book one,
Yeah.
much different, but I was so excited to venture into a new place too. Morocco is a really great way to put it and is so high on my list. I want to go so
Yeah.
badly. Oh my goodness. I've just heard and seen incredible things, which is just my travel bucket list is it's too long. I don't know how I'm supposed to do
Endless. Yeah.
I don't know how I'm supposed to do it all. Um, I was talking to someone earlier today, and they were like, I was just like, oh, they go, oh, they're like, are you tired? And I was like, I mean, kind of, I guess. But I was like, but I'm
Right.
also like ready to go next month. So
Exactly.
where do we want to go? Where do we want to go next? Um, what does a typical day of writing look like for you?
Well, for me, it's a little bit hectic because I work full time on top of writing, and but writing is such like it's so ingrained into my DNA now that it's like okay, now I sit down and write. So I usually work most of the day, and I write at night. So my evening is my second day. I always call it. I am a caffeine addict. It's ridiculous. I like it's so bad. And
You're in
like
good
I'll make a
company
pot of
though.
coffee. Right, exactly. I'll make a pot of coffee at like 9 p.m. and I'll be like, my second day is starting. And that's my writing time because it's quiet. There's no distractions. I'm one of those people like I don't have ADHD, but I probably like should have had ADHD when I was built because like I'll like squirrel, like look out the window and see something and I'll get distracted by it and because my it'll be something that makes me creative or something, but it's not to the story. And so, or I'll think of something else I need to do, my list of a million things to do in a day. And so when it's dark, it's like the blinds are shut, everything's quiet. I can kind of just focus in. Sometimes I'll turn off like all the lights and I'll just have like a little low light where I can only see like where I'm at. And then I'll just start writing because I want to fall into that world. I want to immerse myself and I'll write till, it depends on the day. If it's a good writing day, I might be up till 3 a.m. writing and then get ready for the next day of work. And, it just, it comes like that. But this has been such a unique experience for me, especially this series, because I couldn't stop writing this series. There was too much of it to be told, and like my mind knew exactly where it was going to go, and that's why I always say like I did not write this book, this story wrote itself, because it was flowing so well. It's always flowed so well. And so it was like a new experience for me because sometimes you get writer's block and you're like, I don't know, I'm sitting here for 3 hours, I've written a sentence, and you're like, well, I don't know where this story is going to go. But this story never stopped. So my typical writing day, as far as the Steel Citadel series is involved, is just very much like, let's focus in. And my whole night is writing and kind of, listening to the mood music. I always have a playlist for it and then having a cup of coffee or like a snack with me just so I stay awake and I keep writing.
I'm right there with you on the caffeine. I should probably say, like, don't encourage it, but I think
Right.
anyone that's listened to this podcast knows that also have a bit of a caffeine addiction. You mentioned a playlist. What is one
Mhm.
of the songs in the playlist for The Curse of Fire?
Oh, that's a good question. For the Curse of Fire, this was very much like an Imagine Dragons sort of feel to it. It had that, but it was also like one that surprises people because it doesn't really have the same feel. Is like I Lived by One Republic was
Oh,
one that I used for a very very specific scene. There's a scene with a dragon and it doesn't go the way that you think it should. It does not end well, but that whole scene leading up to it really felt like a scene where Maeve was like living and she was just like experiencing something so new. And so I wrote it to I Lived by One Republic. And so that was really fun. But everything's very much like, fire and like rock and like things like that for this book. The last book was more like, Sia and things like that. It was very much a different vibe, but for this book it was more
it's
rock.
totally changed.
Right, exactly.
Um, can you give us like the style of music for book three? What would you say has been a
Oh,
song or two for that one?
let's see. Hold on. I'll look at my notes and I'll tell you. 1 second. Let's see. Yes, I can actually. And so, as saying that book 3 is written, like it's on page. That means that I have definitely written to a lot of different music. Okay. The song for this book, which will kind of give you like the vibes for this book, is Who's Afraid of Little Me from Taylor Swift. Yes.
Great song.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very much encapsulates the vibe of that book. So,
Okay.
yeah,
That just
you can
made
get
me
prepared.
even more. If I wasn't excited before, like that just sealed the deal. So excited. I still am. Anytime that song comes on, I have to listen to it. It's
It's
just
just a
like,
belter. It's one of
yeah.
those that you have to like turn up and just scream with. Yeah.
I just think we as fantasy readers and you as a fantasy reader and writer
Yeah.
we just feel that song. Like we
Yes.
feel it so much. So
Yeah.
okay, that was perfect. All right, couple of I'll call them quick questions, but honestly, who
Sure.
knows? What was the last
Yep.
book you read?
Oh, I'm actually currently finishing up in the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros.
Yes, okay.
It's good.
Thoughts? Haven't read it yet, but thoughts?
I really enjoy it. I started it on a plane though, because I thought it was like a meet cute on a plane. But Rebecca Yarros, how she is, don't read it on a plane. So I don't suggest that, but it's really good. It's really good.
Um, I full out sobbed on a plane yesterday while
Oh my
reading.
gosh.
So,
What
so
book were you reading?
The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna.
Oh, okay. Very
I mean,
nice.
like heaving sobs. I was just and like snot running down my face.
Yeah.
Um, at one point I was crying and like I was reading like this so that like trying to hide that I was just crying so hard.
Right.
So I have my head in my hands and like the tears are just hitting the page. And at one
Oh,
point I like had to flip the book over and I was in a window seat and I was just like breathing. I was like, okay, like in and out, just breathe.
right.
So as I like let it out, it was a really long flight, so I was just like, I'm committed. So if I- you could cry, it's fine. I feel like that
Yeah.
somehow on a plane, I always end up like reading a really sad book or watching a really sad movie
Right.
unintentionally, but it just
Right.
happens.
Yep.
Okay, what was the last show or movie that you watched?
Oh, last movie I watched. Oh, I watched Thunderbolts. I'm probably a little bit late to the game, the new Marvel movie.
Oh, I have not seen this.
Yeah, it was really good. It
Okay.
was, yeah,
I don't know
deals with like
anything about
heavier
it.
themes, but it's good. Well, it's kind of like the anti-hero heroes, so it was kind of cool. You
Who's
get
in
like
this one?
it's Black Widow's sister, Yelena, and like the other Captain America they tried to make into Captain America, Wyatt Russell. So it was
Okay.
like it's kind of like anti-heroes heroes, and I really enjoyed it because I feel like the anti-hero is like so much fun to watch. So that was really
Do you,
good.
do you have to watch any of the others to watch it? Or like could I
Mm,
watch that one and kind of get the plot?
you'd probably enjoy it even if you didn't like know the plot. Like it'd
Okay.
probably help to see the other ones, but you'd probably enjoy it.
Okay, okay. Which character from your series would you
Okay.
trust with a secret?
Gogglesh.
That was exactly what was in my head, for sure.
Yep.
100. Okay, so we're on the same page there.
Yep.
If you could spend one day in your story's world, where would you go?
I got a time locked, actually. I like the
Get a
vibes. I
tan.
like the people. Yeah, I get a tan.
I do. I like the vibes. I like the people there too. So
Yeah.
it's a little hot, but I live in
Yeah,
Florida, so and
it'll
we're
be fine.
used yeah, we're used to that. In 3 words, how would you
Mhm.
describe book 2, The Curse of Fire?
Oh, that's hard. Um, Nothing gets resolved.
Perfect. Yep, you're left with another cliffhanger.
Yeah, sort of.
and itching for book three like me.
Itching for book three. Yep.
Um, in the best way, of course. In the best, like
Yep.
we all, I don't know what that says about us, but like as much as I think as readers we're like, oh my gosh, and it ends on a cliffhanger,
Yeah.
we all also like that. Like you can't tell
Yeah.
me that you don't because that is
Exactly.
what, like that is what makes you like excited about the next one. So,
Yeah.
okay. Um that was unexpected but also perfect for the story. Um, where can readers, aspiring writers, anyone connect with you if they want to follow along with your awesome journey and see all of the cool places you're going, as well as connect with you for the series?
You can find me mostly on Instagram. I have a TikTok, but I'm not usually on it. But you can find me Whitney Writes Stuff. I'm there. You can also go to my website, whitneygibbsauthor.com. There's a whole bunch of information on my books and how you can see me and all my latest updates. So yeah, I love to connect with people. So please do.
Absolutely. And The Curse of Fire Book 2 in the Steel Citadel series is available September 16th, which I actually think is the day before this episode comes out. So you can go ahead and go
Perfect.
get that book right now. Whitney,
Yay.
so much fun having you back on the show. Thank you for wanting to come back and for
Yeah.
the opportunity to read this book. I love following along with this story, connecting with you, and I'm so appreciative that you wanted to come chat with me about it.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Cheers!
Cheers.